hello and welcome to Startup Day 2023. My name is Courtney Piper. This is Chris McAdoo.
Hello, everybody.
And we are back bringing you some of the best startups in the Knoxville area and celebrating 10 years of Startup Days.
Y'all, 10 years. So, but you know, this past year in particular has been one I would call of opportunity, of innovation. You know, it's those words that we use all the time on slide decks.
And collaboration.
And collaboration, which is something that Knoxville holds dear, regardless if you are a maker or the next scientist inventing a technology to change the world.
That's right.
Yes. And in fact, collaboration brings us highlights from the past year. Things like, well, I don't know, Courtney, how many Knoxville area companies made the Inc. 5000 list this year?
12.
Including 2 Startup Day alums.
Yes, and Oak Ridge National Lab welcomed its 7th cohort of Innovation Crossroads. Those startups joined the 2nd cohort of the Spark Clean Tech Accelerator at the UT Research Park to form one giant 13-company mega cohort.
Do y'all remember that show from the 80s, Voltron? When like all the little robots came together and they made one gigantic super robot?
I was more of a Transformers person.
Well, at any rate, it's all about coming together. And other highlights include companies like RegScale, who did a $20 million Series A round, the biggest round for any startup here in Knoxville.
That's right. And Trillium Renewable Chemicals, they completed a $13 million Series A funding round. And then we had Techstars.
Oh, Techstars. Their 2nd cohort finished up, the Techstars Industries of the Future.
That's right. And not to mention all the amazing accomplishments of some of the companies that will be on stage today, but we're going to let them tell you all about it.
And we have been more aggressive than ever, y'all, about getting capital into the hands of entrepreneurs that need it, building a community around the people that can use that capital to build bigger and better things.
Yes, and this year's Startup Day, we are featuring 6 of some of the best startups in Knoxville, and they will be competing for up to $10,000 in cash prizes. But we're going to need your help to dole out some of that cash.
Yes, indeed. Now, y'all, so we're talking about a lot of these things, and it's going to be an audience like yourself that if you look at your program, there's a little QR code on there and on your table tents, and that's going to help us help you give one of these deserving companies $3,000 thanks to our friends at Boston Government Services.
Yes. And the Judge's Choice Award, our judges will be delivering that $7,000 and the QR code.
And the QR code.
For the Crowd Favorite Award. Very important. Make sure you use that QR code. It's in your program and it's on your table tent.
Always, always. And using that QR code means you are making your voice heard as we continue our journey, our adventure to become the most founder-friendly city in America. Now, give him just a second. Courtney, can I have him say it back?
You can.
What are we going to be? Founder-friendly. That was okay. The most founder-friendly city in America. Let me hear you say it.
You got it.
It's a lot.
All right. Well, now we've got to thank our sponsors.
Yes.
This entire week would not be possible without the support of our sponsors. And first, I'd like to thank the Innov865 Alliance. These fine folks know that entrepreneurship is critical to the success of our community. So they've come together to develop, support, and promote our regional entrepreneurial ecosystem. The founding members of the Innov865 Alliance are the UT Research Foundation, Oak Ridge National Lab, TVA, the City of Knoxville, Launch Tennessee, the Knoxville Chamber, the Knoxville Entrepreneur Center, Three Roots Capital, PYA, the University of Tennessee Knoxville, and the University of Tennessee Knoxville's UT Research Park, Veteran Ventures, and Bunker Labs. Thank you all very much.
Yes.
We also have more sponsors that I'd like to recognize briefly. Visit Knoxville, CGI, Pilot Company, Boston Government Services, Pathway Lending, RegScale, One Knox, WAT6 on your side. There's a lot of them, you guys. Yeehaw, Knox Devs, and the Appalachian Investors Alliance. Let's give them all a round of applause.
And while you are at it and while we are at it, don't forget to give us a love on social media. So Tom Ballard, just pull up your TikTok account and tag Innov865 or hashtag INNOV865.
All right, welcome to Startup Day 2023. Keep your eyes on the big screen.
The first startup days were really cool. There was a lot of enthusiasm, and I think a lot of people saw possibilities that they hadn't seen before.
The breadth of things that people were talking about was staggering to me. And that first startup day really laid the foundation for 10 years of amazing events to come. So I think you've seen this maturity of the entrepreneurs that's been really exciting to watch and to be a part of.
In Knoxville, you can get a lot more done, essentially, with a lot less funding, which is very important when you're an early stage deep technology company with limited funding.
Knoxville has been incredible. Anybody I wanted to have a conversation with, there was always somebody here that was willing to make that introduction. I feel like that is the embodiment of the volunteer spirit. Everybody here wants to help, and you can feel that in everything you do.
I think that Knoxville has gotten on the map as a clean tech center. So we have the opportunity to become a real mecca for technology-based startups. We're the home of the University of Tennessee. We're the home of the Oak Ridge National Laboratory. We're the headquarters of the Tennessee Valley Authority. We can claim this space nationally and internationally.
I think the next 10 years for Knoxville is all about building on this incredible foundation that we've created. So for people who want to be engaged with entrepreneurs, I think there are 3 ways that they can do it. 1, mentor those entrepreneurs, share your experiences, give them the opportunity to learn from what you've learned. The second is to invest in those companies. We need more capital flowing, and if you have the capacity, they'll be looking for it. The third is to buy their products or services, so you can support those entrepreneurs by patronizing them.
To me, Innov865 is synonymous to the local Knoxville entrepreneurial community. It's very valuable to building up this ecosystem of startups for early stage entrepreneurs.
My advice for aspiring entrepreneurs is do it. I think it's so easy to find obstacles and use that as a reason to not start something. So it's be brave, find your courage, get off the sidelines. If you have an idea, like I would go straight to the Innov865 Alliance and say, this is my idea, what do I do next?
All right. Yes, yes, yes. So a lot of familiar faces, a lot of things, and a lot of big ideas. And we couldn't make those big ideas happen without a mayor that continually supports the entrepreneurial scene here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Mayor Kincannon, I've seen you a lot these past few days, including kicking off the Maker City Summit only a few days ago. There we go. Woo! With our crew over there, bringing together several hundred of the region's greatest, brightest, and most entrepreneurial creatives in the region. Anyway, I am so proud to introduce Mayor India Kincannon and to congratulate you on a second term. India Kincannon, everyone.
Thanks so much, Chris. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you, Courtney, for kicking off this 10th annual Startup Day. I am pumped up for these pitches. Are you guys pumped up? Innov865 Week is such a fun part of the city's life, and I can't wait to see the pitches today. I can't wait to celebrate the winner. But today is so amazing because we are promoting and celebrating entrepreneurship, innovation, and collaboration. And I appreciate everybody for being here today. We are makers, we are starters, we are founders, we are visionaries, we are entrepreneurs, students, community leaders, and very importantly, investors. So at the end of the week, we will have fueled one another's enthusiasm, handed out over $10,000 in prizes, and more important even than the prizes is the opportunity to be mentored, to be inspired, to inspire, and to get those connections. Today and this week is about connections and inspiration, but as I walk around the city of Knoxville these days, you just got, when you breathe in the air, when you're out, enjoying our nature, our parks, our restaurants, our cultural activities, there's a palpable sense of energy. And that energy comes from the enthusiasm of the people who are starting their small businesses, who know that Knoxville is a place that you can start your business, that you can try your dream. You can try here through Startup Day. And I've seen this for 10 straight years. And some people, they compete in 1 year and they're not the top finisher. And then they come back. They learn through the input from the judges and other people in this community. They revise and refine their business and they get better. And then they come back and become even more successful through Startup Day and all the connections they make here. So I'm really excited to be here. I love learning about the businesses, and I've learned a little bit about the 6 competitors today. I'm really grateful that so many bright minds are thinking about issues related to sustainability and climate change. It's a lot of fun, but it also matters economically, and it matters to the future of our planet. So to all the entrepreneurs who are willing to take the plunge, take risks, invest to start a new business, following your dreams, you are the job creators for our community, and you are our future leaders. As we nurture a Knoxville that is a welcoming, fertile place for entrepreneurs to start and grow businesses, that means we will retain our young talent. I want to ask, how many people here today are current or former students at University of Tennessee? All right. Well, go UT. Glad to see so many of you here. We're glad to have the main research university, flagship university for our state right here in Knoxville. UT is the reason I came to Knoxville, and it has attracted so many bright minds and a lot of founders as well. My job as mayor is to support your efforts to make your dreams able to be fulfilled and realized here in Knoxville, and also to make sure that our city is a place that young entrepreneurs can thrive, that can find housing, can find fun things to do, can interact with other entrepreneurs and have those creative collisions so you might know and learn more and collaborate and expand your businesses with other partners. We do this in many different ways, and this week is one big part of that. We also spend over $1 million to support various economic development partners like the Knoxville Chamber, Centro Hispano, the Knoxville Entrepreneur Center, and also Spark Clean Tech Accelerator, which helps companies focus on solutions addressing the climate crisis, and bolsters Knoxville's standing as a clean tech hub. With the amenities and assets and brain power here in Knoxville, we truly can be the clean energy innovation hub, not just for Tennessee, not just for the country, but for the world. Thank you. Yes, exactly. So, thank you for being here. I want to thank all the participants. I want to thank all the members of the Innov865 Alliance, and particularly to the 13 founding members. They have been staunch supporters of entrepreneurship. That word is giving me a little trouble today. Entrepreneurship and innovation. So let's give all the founders and sponsors a big round of applause. They make this week possible and fun. So, thank you, and let's start those pitches.
Thank you very much. And Mayor Kincannon, don't feel bad. I both misspell and misspeak entrepreneur 12 times a day. All right, guys, it is time to get things started. So we're going to bring up our Startup Day judges. First up, Courtney Jones, the co-founder of MomSource Network and now a consultant with Diversity Works Group. Courtney, where'd you go? There she is.
You could wave to the audience.
Next up is Chris Miller, the Chief Financial Officer of Three Roots Capital. Sorry. And Nadeem Gibran of Capstone Concepts and In Lieu. And Nadeem. All right. Oh, yeah, you sit over there. There we go. We got this. So a quick talk with judges. You're not going to have a particular easy job today because there are 6 companies that are doing incredible things, both across media, different industries, waste, vaccines. You have, it all. And you guys have seen a lot as well. So Courtney, I actually want to ask you a quick question about risk. Mayor Kincannon talked about the importance of entrepreneurship and risk. What have you learned as someone who has built and successfully exited a company about knowing when to both take and assess the right kind of risk?
Yeah. I think the thing about risk is it needs to be calculated risk, right? And so anything that we're going to do, anything you're going to start is going to be a risk, especially when you're trying to do something that nobody else has done before. And so the question is, can you evaluate the risk? Can you understand what the potential upside is? And can you plan to mitigate the downside?
Well, in talking about sort of looking at the upside versus mitigating the downside, Chris Miller, you say no to people for a living. As an investor, right? I don't even mean that in a bad way.
No, see?
To kind of follow up on that, what are some of the things that you've seen in is it 7 or 8 years since Three Roots kicked off?
2016, so do the math for me.
There you go, 7 years.
7 years.
What are some of the changes that you've seen in the companies that have come across your desk in terms of potential investment or active investment?
Great question. So I think we're seeing the benefit of a lot of the work that's being done in this community to develop and grow the entrepreneurial talent here. So I would say we see probably a better quality of entrepreneurial pitches and summaries and presentations, and people that maybe have a little better managed expectation for what the reality of fundraising and starting and growing a company looks like.
Awesome. And Nadeem, let's see. Oh, yeah, grab Chris's mic there. Nadeem, as someone who has been involved in development as well as cultural icons like One Knox, you've seen yourself as a business person as well as someone building business around community. So what are some of the challenges that you've seen the last, say, 1 to 2 years especially, but more importantly, what do you see the next 5 years of Knoxville and our entrepreneurial economy looking like?
Yeah, so I think one thing that's very apparent is that we talk about community. We need talent and recruiting of talent, and one thing that we're coming up against is affordable housing. But one thing I see in the future is we're talking about risk and risk mitigation. I feel like Knoxville is going to be seen as less risky, and I think more people are going to continue taking the time, making the effort, and then actually committing to investing and staying in Knoxville. So to me, I see 5-10 years down the road, more great places to be, more great things to do, and more great people to be around. And I think that's what's really exciting, including this event. So.
Awesome. Well, Courtney, Chris, Nadeem, you've got a tough job ahead of you. And speaking of amazing people, I think it's about time to get this thing started. Now remember, you, the audience, you've got that audience choice power in your hands with the QR code right on your program and on the table tents. So are we ready to do this? Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready for Startup Day? Here we go. I'd like to welcome to the stage our first pitch, Dr. Michaela Barnett with KnoxFill.
Do I have a clicker, folks?
Clicker.
Thank you. Hopefully that doesn't count against my time. I'm Dr. Michaela Barnett, a sustainability scientist and waste and recycling expert, and today I'm going to tell you about my startup, KnoxFill, an innovative local solution to the global plastic pollution crisis. I started KnoxFill when I was doing my PhD studying civil engineering and researching problems with our waste and recycling system. And in my research, I saw the need for a solution to this global problem, both around the world and here at home in East Tennessee. We see evidence of this problem all around us, in our local waterways, forests, and fields, and in the microplastics that are accumulating in our bodies. And recycling alone is not the solution to this problem. Only about 5% of plastic waste actually gets recycled in the United States. Simultaneously, I saw a crisis of disempowerment. Faced with these overwhelming issues that can feel so unsolvable, people want to do something about it, but they don't always know where to start. That's where KnoxFill comes in. KnoxFill is East Tennessee's first zero waste refillery, and we're aimed at tackling waste at the source, not just managing it after it's already been created. At KnoxFill, KnoxFillers can bring their own containers and refill all the household essentials they need. Everything from shampoo to laundry detergent, spices and teas to sunscreen, and hundreds more products. Everyone in our community gets to be part of this solution. We source our products close to home, so we're empowering local makers and investing and strengthening our local economy. KnoxFill is so much more than just a store. Our business model is aimed at making refilling accessible across 4 key strategies: in-person refilling at our flagship store in South Knoxville and at our mobile refillery that travels around the region, through our weekly delivery and pickup service, and lastly, through our B2B program where we're tackling waste at scale by offering refillable options to local businesses. And I've assembled the amazing team to make it happen. I'm a sustainability and behavior change expert, and I'm doing this work alongside an amazing team of other change makers. Among us, we have 5 degrees in sustainability, 2 degrees in behavior change, and decades of retail experience. Refilling is the future. In the last 5 years alone, consumer spending on sustainable goods has outpaced traditional consumer spending by 8%, and the majority of Americans say they're willing to spend more on products that come in sustainable packaging. At KnoxFill, we're distinguished by the quality of our ingredients and our products, our closed-loop, zero-waste supply chains, and our waste systems expertise. At KnoxFill, you're not just investing in a concept. You're investing in an almost 3-year-old startup with a proven history of success. We are solving a real problem and responding to market demand, and that's indicated by our consistent month-after-month growth since our launch in early 2021. All of this growth was made possible just by bootstrapping and revenue. Now imagine what an external investment can do to accelerate and catalyze this already existing upward trajectory. We have big plans to expand this concept, both here locally and in our community and far beyond. Since we started, KnoxFill has helped over 3,000 households make the transition to more sustainable products. Together, we've diverted over 50,000 containers from our local waste stream. That's our landfills and our environment. Thank you so much for joining the refill revolution and supporting this concept. Together, let's make the most beautiful future we can all imagine. Thank you so much. I think I'm here to be grilled.
I have a quick question. So the autonomous refill stations, will those be in areas of town that have proven to have traffic, or at other established brick and mortar? How does that work?
Yeah, so we've looked at both placing those in other shops where we don't have a great presence right now to make it more accessible. We've been talking to some software developers in California because it can be a bit complex because you have to weigh containers before and after, you've got to get the tearing. So we're actually looking at maybe a metered dispensing model in a variety of stores and community spaces where our customers exist, but so they don't have to make maybe the 30-minute trek to our store or keep track of our calendar to see where our mobile refillery is going to be.
A little bit of a follow-up question to that. So you mentioned that you've helped over 3,000 customers already here in Knoxville.
That's right.
What percentage of your target market does that represent? And then how do you keep growing that customer base?
It represents a really small percentage of our target market. You know, sustainability is top of mind for most consumers, especially for millennials and Gen Z, who are going to have more and more purchasing power in the coming years. So looking at just Knoxville's MSA, I think that we've only tapped a very small percentage of our customer base. But the great thing about our customers is that they're loyal. You know, they are KnoxFillers, and when they come and make a purchase, they're coming back time and time again, not only because they feel like they're doing something good for our planet and for the community, but because they love our products, and our products are really high quality. And so a lot of our growth so far has actually just been word of mouth, people telling others, oh, look, you can reduce waste, it's super easy, and I love the products. So I think by investing in other streams, we have a huge potential to grow.
Michaela, nice job.
Thank you.
Is there any cost benefit to the customer to use the refill option that you provide compared to purchasing the product off the shelf?
That is such a great question and a common misconception. Most of our products are much higher quality than ones that you would maybe purchase in a traditional store. They're made with better, more organic ingredients, and they're paying their workers a living wage. So some of our products are a little bit more expensive than the ones you'll get in a plastic container. But if you're already buying products of similar quality in plastic disposable packaging, our prices are very comparable and sometimes lower. Awesome. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much to Dr. Barnett in Knoxville.
Thank you.
Great work. All right, our first pitch right there, and I want to just, what are your first takes on, you know, the potential of not only sustainability, but accessibility for a product like KnoxFill? Chris?
Thanks. I like the idea of local sourcing stuff. I think that that's intriguing. I would be very curious to follow up a little bit more on that cost-benefit question that I asked at the end, because I would like to think that if you stripped out the cost of the packaging every time, that there should be some cost savings that you could then pass along to the customer. And customers, at the end of the day, they tend to not be as altruistic as we sometimes think they will be. And they're more motivated by what affects their pocketbook than maybe what that altruistic thing is that might initially get them interested in the business.
Well, to follow up directly to that, Courtney, as someone who built a business, MomSource Network, around what could be seen on top as an altruistic thing, how do you sustain the economic impact of a purpose-driven project?
Yeah, I think it's yes and. We can do good and do financially well. And I loved Michaela's response to Chris. I mean, these are higher quality products to begin with, so it's getting a better quality product. It is also sustainable, and the amount of plastic waste, as you saw in our presentation, mind-blowing.
Well, in keeping it local, Nadeem, your thoughts on the power of getting that audience that cares about what you're doing?
What I love is I think the business is able to find makers that don't know how to maybe penetrate, and they can be kind of a conduit for that. So to me, that's a really interesting opportunity, because one thing I don't know is she in the business of creating the products, or is she bringing them in from outside? And I don't know the answer to that.
Questions to ask after the pitch competition. I love it. Thank you so much. Everybody, one more hand for Michaela Barnett and KnoxFill, and to our judges. Next up, Dr. Alex Stiles with Vitriform 3D. All right, Alex.
Good afternoon. I'd like you to think about the last time you used, a glass bottle. What did you do with that glass bottle when you were done using it? Well, for most Knoxvillians, that bottle went straight to the landfill via your garbage can. And if you were to take all of the glass waste that residents of Knox County throw out every day and put it here in the mill and mine, you would all be covered in glass bottles in less than 7 days. We're only recycling about 7% of our glass waste in Knox County. That's not great, but the US as a whole is also not doing great. We're only recycling a third of all of our glass waste. And the reason for this is because glass is heavy, it has low scrap value, and it's expensive to ship. So unless you live close to one of these blue dots, you are too far away from a glass processing center. And so mid-sized cities like Knoxville either have to send that glass to landfill or they pay to have it shipped down to a processing center. What we're doing at Vitriform 3D is we are creating a local market for glass scrap. We can take your old bottles, crush them into a fine sand, and then use them in a patent-pending 3D printing method to create engineered stone building materials. And our country needs a lot of building materials. We are short by nearly 7 million housing units. We need to build a lot of buildings, but we also need to do this more sustainably because our building materials are responsible for about 11% of total global greenhouse gas emissions. We can do that by having sustainable materials that are locally sourced, such as 3D printed glass. Where our product can fit in is in interior surfaces and exterior wall cladding. These combined are responsible for about a quarter of the embodied carbon in a typical home. And if you compare our material against other stone-like building products, we stack up quite well. We have 4 times lower embodied carbon than kiln-fired ceramic tile and fibrous cement wall cladding, at the same time as being locally sourced. So we're not as vulnerable to some of the global supply chain disruptions that have been hitting the housing industry. And because we're a 3D printing process, we can achieve a wide range of textures, styles, different shapes of tile, and even full color graphics. And we can do this without having to retool our entire factory every time we want to introduce a new product line. All you have to change for customization is a digital file. And because our product is engineered stone, we can actually make it stronger and lighter than some of the other competitors, which means that your panels will be easier to install. Our market strategy is to start first in luxury tile and wall decor, where we can really explore the customization from 3D printing while keeping a high profit margin. Then, as we secure strategic partnerships, we'll be able to scale up with access to those sales channels into interior and exterior tile. And then finally, we want to produce exterior cladding products where we'll have the biggest environmental impact. The team to make this happen includes myself and my co-founder, Dustin Gilmer. We have PhD expertise in 3D printing and in composites manufacturing. And my team also has a board of advisors, which includes experts in luxury tile marketing and luxury tile design. Right now, we have patents pending on this process, and we've secured over $1 million in grant funding from the US Department of Energy. We've conducted over 100 customer discovery interviews, and we've built out our first research printer, but that's just the beginning. Our goal is to have a factory here in Knoxville with 10 robot arm printers capable of diverting 10,000 tons of glass waste from landfill each year, while also generating over $100 million in revenue and producing 5 million square feet of product and creating 30 jobs for Knoxville. You might be wondering, how can I get involved? Well, we need your glass. So, to build out our supply chain, we are starting a curbside glass collection service for Knoxville called Fourth and Glass. We'll use prize money from today to buy a trailer and bins for our curbside glass collection service. Together, we can help keep glass out of Knoxville's landfills, and together we can turn bottles into buildings. Thank you.
Alex, super cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm curious about how this kind of compares. How do you compete with existing manufacturers? What is the price and quality comparison like?
Yeah. Well, because we're using a very low-cost material, one that we can actually get paid to take off the hands of a city, our manufacturing costs are quite low. So we can price ourselves competitively with mid-market tile and cladding options. So it'll be at the same price.
Same quality.
Yes.
Better?
Well, you're going to have a lower embodied carbon footprint, and you'll have a lot more variety of styles and designs than what you get with some of the, standard cladding and tile options.
Did you say you could be paid to?
Yes.
Can you explain that?
Yeah, so one of the great things about the 3D printing process that we're using is that it's an inkjet-based process. So we can actually pull in the full range of colors into our products.
But for the recycling, getting the material, did you say you would be paid?
Sorry, I thought you said paint. Yes, so cities like Knoxville are currently paying to have their glass scrap taken down to Atlanta. So we can expect between $30 and $80 a ton, depending on which city we're taking glass from.
Thanks.
Is the cost of having you take that glass less than the cost of them sending it down to Atlanta or Nashville?
Absolutely.
Okay. So what's like an initial product? I know you said tile.
Yeah.
It looked like in your plan you said interior first. So like I want to tile my bathroom. You could print the tiles to go into that bathroom.
Yes, so right now we have a research scale printer. So we could print you a whole series of very small tiles to print out a bathroom. But the first product line that we're targeting is actually a co-branded product with a company called Chop Value. They use recycled bamboo chopsticks to make wall decor. And so we would be combining our recycled glass with their bamboo frames. And we're excited to launch this product early 2024.
And where will that product launch?
So they will be selling it in Canada, and then we'll also be selling it from here in Knoxville.
Like online, in stores?
That'll be all online sales.
Okay. Well, great job.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Alex, great job. So I really love, like, you guys, kind of getting excited about partnerships and possibility. So for somebody like Alex, who is taking an existing issue and working with it at scale, what do you see as sort of your hot take on the first opportunity? Nadeem, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think adoption is going to be really interesting because I want to recycle more, but I also, from like the end of the spout, am I going to buy his tile? I don't know. I'd love to see it. I can see an application, but I saw $10 to $20 mid-market. That seems high per square foot in tile. So I'd be interested to see how he could get that number down.
Okay. Courtney?
Yeah, I really think about this a lot too because I started a company here and struggle with some of the same stuff. And I think it's so exciting to be an early adopter when somebody's doing something like that here. So I'm like already thinking, I was going to ask Chris, I'm like, are you really retiling your bathroom? Because I think like a chopstick glass kind of tiled bathroom would be awesome. And I always think when I'm at an event like this, every opportunity I get that I can go and see it when it's here and he's ready to sell it next year, I'm excited too because that is sometimes all we can do is actually go and support everybody that's in our backyard.
Well, and talk about early adoption to sustainable business model. Chris, what would something that you would say as someone who wants to see a business like this succeed long term, what do you do to look beyond that sort of 2-year growth pattern?
Yeah, the first. Oh, my dad. There you go. Thank you, Courtney. Courtney's saving me twice. First, she asked the cost question this time instead of me. But to answer the question that you asked, the thing I would like to see is how do you take what he's doing right now, which he's doing basically as a science experiment, very small batch production, and be able to expand that into a size that it can actually then have a residential or an industrial or commercial application. And oftentimes, that's where the company breaks. because scaling it like that is more challenging. It's not just increasing the math around how the formula works. You're bringing bigger machinery in and more people are involved in it and being able to do it on a larger scale.
All right, judges, thank you very much. As always, thank you. And thank you again to Dr. Alex Stiles and Vitraform 3D. Up next, Jonathan Halley and B-Roll Bank. Jonathan, come on.
The world has a big damn problem, a digital asset management problem. I'm Jonathan Halley, and I solved my production company's big damn problem when I created B-Roll Bank. How many of you have phones clogged with old photos and videos? I'd say there's probably some good stuff in there if it was just organized and searchable. Now imagine you're one of over 90,000 marketing agencies, content creators, or production companies in the US that are trying to thrive in this ever-growing world of content. Agencies and their clients store tons of media they can't reasonably delete. What if they need it later? To make a 30-second commercial, as you can imagine, teams walk away with more than 30 seconds worth of footage. The reality is that over 95% of what gets captured ends up on the cutting room floor, or more specifically, languishing in servers. These clips are untapped assets. Between ever-growing storage costs and human hours to manage the media, and a total lack of universal tagging consistency, agencies are losing thousands, many hundreds of thousands of dollars, and their clients are deprived of these untapped assets. It's a lose-lose. B-Roll Bank is a smart digital asset management software. It sits on existing server infrastructure and uses machine learning and proprietary tagging algorithms to make content easy to search, drastically reducing costs and mitigating the risks of human error and making those assets accessible. We have the opportunity to unlock this untapped potential and create a new revenue stream for agencies. Additionally, digital assets that have been used or ignored long enough are flagged for manual deletion using the smart recycling feature, replacing that delete button anxiety with clarity that you won't need it later. Our competitors haven't met the needs of the industry. We are the only platform-agnostic solution that proactively creates value by making those cutting room floor assets available for new projects using the intelligent tagging and smart recycling features in a client-facing interface. You may be surprised to hear that Knoxville ranks among the top production cities in the US. That means that B-Roll Bank is being built in one of the most accessible target markets, a market that I've been actively involved in for over a decade. With a problem this big, it is not surprising to learn that the digital asset management industry did $3.4 billion in 2022 and is projected to more than triple over the next 8 years. Now, we've earned $25,000 in revenue from our existing beta with one customer. Leveraging our go-to-market strategy, we expect over our first year in sales to capture nearly 80 early adopter clients and reach $7.8 million in annual recurring revenue by 2027. With a solution this exciting, it's going to take some serious sales and marketing. That's why my award-winning team at Big Slate Media will work with national distributors, including Nashville-based Marshall Graphic Systems, to educate and onboard our target customers. We will formally launch B-Roll Bank at the world's largest production trade show, a place where our target market makes the majority of their buying decisions. B-Roll Bank is supported by a board of advisors who are a mix of seasoned software professionals, production executives, and long-term business mentors, including one of the co-founders of HGTV. We're seeking $2 million in seed capital, which means a market-ready product, a development team, and a nationwide sales and marketing effort. As we look down the road, our next step is to convert the existing beta into our final release while simultaneously executing our sales and marketing strategy so that we can hit the ground running. After year one of sales, it's all about product refinement and preparing to scale. Look, I have lived and breathed this industry for over a decade, and I have got an amazing team here in Knoxville. B-Roll Bank has been a game changer for us and for our clients. Our customers are getting the most for their money, and our recurring revenue continues to grow. It's a win-win. It's time to scale, and we need your help. So, is B-Roll Bank the solution to the world's big damn problem?
So Jonathan, is your client going to be other content creators or the user, like a business that needs the content or the marketing within the company itself?
So our customer is the person that has the server. So in some cases, that could be a large corporation that has already server infrastructure, and then, but primarily our client is the production company. They can then resell the software if they want to their customers to gain access to it.
And they can choose to delete if they want.
Say that again?
They can delete it if they want. They don't have to store it.
Who's they?
The content creators.
The content creators can choose to delete it at that point, yeah.
Jonathan, you showed the comparison against people who are in this space and the whole column of check boxes that B-Roll offers.
Yeah.
What is proprietary about that? What keeps those competitors from adding the same features that you're offering?
Yeah, it's a great question. So right now, every competitor has some sort of quote-unquote AI tagging software. And what it is they're all using an API integration through Google Auto ML AI or AWS Recognition. Those are the two that are out there, and frankly, all those do is tag like blue shirt, tree, car, stuff that really doesn't matter. What we're doing is we're creating a machine learning process and proprietary tagging algorithm that will learn that institution's parameters of how they want their content tags. For example, UT, it's not going to be mascot, it's going to be Smokey the dog. And we'll use that through, we'll train the machine through kind of a CAPTCHA model is probably a good equivalent, that as the machine learns and understands what tag is where, it will learn more of how to tag the media.
So it's not that they couldn't replicate it, it's just you're going to do it first and fastest and they won't be able to catch up.
Yeah, I do think that there will be, so on my team, my CTO has some experience with technology patents, and so we do believe strongly, and we're talking with technology attorneys or patent attorneys about how to secure this intellectual property, because we do believe that we will discover some, but as it stands now, yeah, it's a race to the market, and that's why we're asking for the money we're asking for, and that's why we are hitting the sales and marketing so hard.
So Jonathan, the person at the company that's going to use this product, they're going to use your product instead of doing what?
So instead of, it really gives access to footage they would not have seen otherwise. So the end client, the production company's client, for example, they would have never seen the other takes, the other options, the other usable 5 seconds that they could use on social media. They would have never gained access to that. So that's one piece of it. And then for the production company, their bills are just getting bigger, right? Like we look at what we spend every year and it's going up, right? So this is a way to be able to delete some of that footage, to be able to manage that media, truly manage that media, so that only the good stuff stays.
Great.
And B-Roll Bank. All right. So B-Roll Bank.
Let's switch seats. All these guys are too cool. You can sit over here and judge.
Unfortunately, that falls to you guys, and the job does not get any easier with pitches like John and B-Roll Bank. Chris, what is your take on the growth potential for a product like this?
All right, so I think AI is fascinating, and I love to see how people are using AI to do so many different things that I would have never thought possible. I would have probably never before today thought of using AI to try to dig through old B-roll footage to find something that's valuable there. What I still am trying to understand is what the actual value proposition to the user is, and how you can convert that into a financial measurement to convince people, hey, you need to get this product because it's going to either generate revenue or it's going to be a cost savings instrument.
All right, Nadeem?
Is this working? No, not working. I see the benefit of having access to some footage because I have an opinion, you have an opinion, and maybe the opinion that was sent to me wouldn't be the one that I would choose. And so I think it is fascinating to be able to have that kind of at your beck and call, if you will. How it's tagged is really interesting to me because I know there's a search button, search function now in the iPhone where you can say, I want to search for a snake in my pictures. It pulls up the snake, right? Instead of having to go all the way back. So I do see an application. I'd be interested to see how it comes to market.
All right, talk about coming to market. Courtney, what are your either concerns and or opportunities that you see of bringing this to scale with what Chris kind of said and Nadeem's point about, the product tagging?
Yeah, just have to have a lot of money and a lot of marketing if the goal is to get out there fastest, right? Because he said there may be some IP there, don't know exactly what that is yet. So if it's needed, got to build it and get it to customers as quickly as you can.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to give another hand to Jonathan Halley and B-Roll Bank. Now, Courtney, what's up next?
Well, Chris, first, I want to recognize our online audience and thank WAT6 on our side for the live streaming because that means they'll get to share in this very special announcement.
Well, thank you very much. And yeah, I guess we have a special announcement.
We do. Ooh. We do. Are you ready?
Are you guys ready? Yeah. There we go.
All right, I'd like to welcome to the stage my friend and CEO of Launch Tennessee, Lindsay Cox. She has some very exciting news to share with us this afternoon. Lindsay.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is so great to be with you here in Knoxville today. I am loving all of these pitches. Also loving judges' commentary in this setup over here. I'm like taking notes for a conference that we do in Nashville as well, 3686. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Lindsay Cox. I have the honor and privilege of leading an organization called Launch Tennessee, which is a statewide group focused on supporting entrepreneurship and innovation all around this state. So over the past year, we've been up to a lot of things. We've had a big conversation happening in this state around capital and access to capital that has led to the creation of InvestTN, a new $70 million fund that we are operating out of Launch, Tennessee. Yes, yay for capital. After that announcement, we saw over 350 initial inquiries come in for innovators all around the state at wanting to access those dollars and wanting to help grow their company with venture capital. So I'm telling you all that today because I know there are some folks in this room who have applied for those funds. If you have, just know there are 350. We're working our way through the list right now. So you'll be hearing from us soon in the coming weeks. But what I'm here to talk to you about today is actually something some of you may say is less sexy than venture capital and a $70 million investment fund, but I think is pretty cool and exciting, and that is a new partnership and a new initiative we're launching at Launch Tennessee called the Tennessee Technology Advancement Consortium. So what is that, you may ask? So we have actually partnered with our friends at UT Research Foundation and at Vanderbilt Center for Technology Transfer and Commercialization to stand up a tech transfer office at Launch Tennessee. So Launch Tennessee will begin over the next several months offering tech transfer support to our other state universities and Institute of Higher Education. Very exciting. We will be piloting this initiative with 3 schools, the University of Memphis, Tennessee State University, and Tennessee Tech University. And our goal here is much bigger than just supporting innovators in those schools. Although that is certainly a part of this, we have seen firsthand the amazing innovators coming out of UT Research Foundation and coming out of Vanderbilt and want to help elevate that conversation at those other institutions. But this is really about elevating the conversation of innovation here across our state. We've had Launch Tennessee for a number of years. We've had the great pleasure to work with our friends at the Knoxville Entrepreneur Center and our friends at the Innov865 Alliance, but we have had less of an opportunity to work with these institutes of higher ed to get commercialization and tech transfer resources out and get more companies spun up across the state. So over the next several months, as we work through this pilot, we hope that you will join us and make a commitment to supporting innovators coming out of our research institutions and really help elevate the conversation of innovation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Lindsay, Cox, and the wonderful folks from Launch Tennessee that helps, well, cities and entrepreneurs from all over the state be all that they can be in collaboration with others, just like us here in the Maker City. I'll remind everybody, you've got your QR code to vote for your audience favorite, to give your favorite pitcher today $3,000, a little walking around money, as they say. So I want you to give a hand for our first 3 pitchers, please. Yes. Knoxville, Vitraform, and B-Roll Bank. And now I'm excited to introduce the first of our final 3, Dr. Trey Fisher with Orion Therapeutics. Trey, come on up.
I introduce to you Orion Therapeutics. Orion Therapeutics is a biotech platform company with a unique mission to unlock the extraordinary potential of genetic medicine and RNA therapeutics. So let's first talk about what RNA is. Most people know what DNA is. DNA is the blueprint for all of the genes in our body. Those genes lead to proteins, which are the cellular protein or cellular machinery within our body. And RNA is sort of the middleman in this biological process. And the ability to harness RNA as a therapeutic allows us to essentially program your cellular machinery to fight virtually any disease. And one of my favorite quotes on this subject is from Elon Musk, where he said, "Creating synthetic RNA for next generation cures and vaccines is the future of medicine. It turns human disease into a software problem." And so let's look at 2 examples that I'm sure you guys are very familiar with. I'm talking about the mRNA vaccines during the COVID-19 pandemic. These 2 vaccines brought in almost $150 billion in just under 3 years. And both of these vaccines utilize what's known as lipid nanoparticles, or LNPs for short, which are required to package, protect, and deliver those RNA drugs to their target cells. And so what's the problem? We have LNPs, we have RNA. Well, there's actually over 1,500 early-stage RNA programs currently in clinical development, and yet there's only 3 approved RNA LNP drugs, which is clearly showing that we have a bottleneck problem. And that bottleneck is actually with the delivery system itself. Specifically, the lipids in these advanced LNPs are unnatural and toxic at high doses. Some of you may have experienced adverse responses with these vaccines. Most of the druggable areas of the body that need these RNA therapies and cures the most are inaccessible to these RNA therapies because of the delivery system. And of course, we have shelf life, cold storage stability issues associated with the delivery system itself. So at Orion Therapeutics, we want to reverse this narrative and enhance the success of these RNA therapies in the future, which will lead to cures for cancer, cures for neurodegenerative disorders, and cures for rare genetic disorders in our children. And so insert the Orion solution. We have a lipid nanoparticle delivery platform. It has a targeting layer on the outside that allows us to reach these previously inaccessible areas of the body. It has a cell-penetrating layer that facilitates uptake and is made of natural lipids versus the unnatural lipids that you see in advanced LNPs. And if we think of an example here with a target cell, let's say it's a cancer cell in your body, we can actually program our delivery technology to bind with specificity to this target cell. The cell-penetrating layer helps enhance delivery with safety to this target cell so that we can deliver the RNA payload. And so we have a delivery platform that is agnostic to the RNA payload. If it's an RNA drug, we can package it, we can deliver it with specificity. It's easy and cost-effective to make. It's made of natural chemistries, and It's covered by intellectual property with the University of Tennessee Research Foundation. So a perfect example of this is in vascular disease, where we've actually leveraged our delivery platform with a modular change on the surface where we can actually target with a collagen-binding peptide vascular injury. And so we have a balloon angioplasty model that we utilize in our lab at the University of Tennessee Medical Center. We induce the vascular injury, and here you can see the targeted Orion LNP has significantly enhanced delivery into the vascular injury. This allows us to deliver these RNA therapies to mitigate restenosis, which is our lead program, or to mitigate atherosclerosis and other cardiovascular diseases. This is also patented in conjunction with the University of Tennessee Research Foundation. Another beautiful example of leveraging our platform is here in this cancer vaccine model, where we actually add an adjuvant to program the immune system to attack cancer cells. And here you can see an extraordinary result where we're mitigating tumor growth significantly over other LNP and other drugs. And so a quick background, we were incorporated last year of 2022. We were invited to be a part of the Spark Incubator program over at Cherokee Farm later that year. We were then invited to be a part of the prestigious Mice BioDrive program up in Boston, the first company ever from the state of Tennessee to do that. We received a phase 1 STTR grant from the National Science Foundation to help advance that vascular pipeline. And then one of our proudest moments was winning the Eli Lilly Genetic Medicine Grand Challenge, which came with a $100,000 award. And recently we also won the Blue Knight Quickfire Challenge sponsored by Johnson & Johnson. So some quick customer traction. We are partnered with 2 labs at the University of Tennessee that are helping advance this technology. We recently signed 2 letters of intents with 2 small RNA biotech companies that are working on cancer indications in the liver and the lungs. But recently, our big ticket item, we're finalizing negotiations with Moderna to evaluate our delivery technology with their mRNA platform. We hope to leverage that into co-development deals moving forward. This is the team that's going to make that happen. We're currentently raising $1.5 million in seed funding. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being here today. I'll end with that.
Thank you, Trey.
So since you got a little rush there at the end, I'll throw you a softball. What did you not get to tell us at the end of your presentation?
Well, number one, here's our team. We have over 50 years of pharmaceutical experience in industry. Dr. Deidre Mountain is a co-founder and co-inventor on the technology. Her lab is at the University of Tennessee Medical Center. And Leanne Manal is a former lead scientist on the mRNA vaccine at Pfizer. Jennifer Zachary we stole her from Vanderbilt. She's a neuroscientist. I'm pretty proud of that one because I am UT through and through. And there's a wealth of information I could tell you, honestly.
All right, quick question. Well, it's not a quick question, but you'll have to give me a quick answer.
Sure.
What is the FDA approval process for your product?
Well, the FDA approval process is focused on the RNA drug itself. The beautiful thing about having a delivery platform is that once our delivery platform goes through the regulatory processes and is approved, it's iterative. And so because you have an RNA platform and a delivery platform coming together, those things are quickly iterative once you actually move through the regulatory process the first time.
So you're a whole lot smarter than I am, okay? I can tell.
Maybe.
Can we think about this as a pill form? The application is the pill, and then the drug is coming from,
I think you can think about it in any dosage form, whether it be IV injection.
But you're creating the pill, not what's in the pill.
We're not necessarily creating pills. We're creating injectables. We're creating things that you would see, for instance, in the mRNA vaccine. It's a liquid solution that could be used for an intramuscular injection or an IV injection or a variety, subcutaneous injection, right? But typically they are liquids.
Yeah, but I guess my point is that it's the application, not the drug that's going into the application, right?
No, we make the drug. The drug is the RNA. We make the delivery system that is required for the success of these drugs.
There you go.
You cannot take RNA and inject it into your body and expect it to work. It will not work. Your body will degrade it. So a delivery system is required to package and protect that drug, and more importantly, deliver it to the target cell so that it can actually act. And what we're missing right now in the industry is the ability to target cancer cells, because these RNAs are going to cure cancer. Or how can we target the blood-brain barrier so that we can target Alzheimer's and other neurodegenerative disorders? That's the real key to this technology.
Thanks.
Can you talk a little bit about how safe this is in terms of a delivery platform? There's obviously a regulatory process, so I'm sure it's being evaluated through that too, but
It's a key aspect. So the LMPs, for instance, used in the mRNA vaccines, the adverse responses that you see are not due to the RNA. They're due to the lipids in the lipid nanoparticle delivery system because they are unnatural. They're not based on any biological foundation. We use what's called lipopeptides, which are made up of arginines, amino acids, stearic fatty acid, which you would find in salad dressing, things that the body can handle quite easily. And therefore, the toxicity and immunogenicity of our delivery system is much lower.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Trey Fisher and Orion Therapeutics. All right, Nadine, I'm with you, man. I'm a painting major, buddy. That's some amazing stuff. So life-changing technology in the face of what could be considered one of the biggest bureaucracies in the world, the healthcare industry. Nadeem, what do you see as, sort of the first steps you would take in his shoes?
Man, I think it's a long sales cycle, right? You got to go through the FDA approval. It could take many, many years. So persistence is going to be key there. And having people that understand it and that will help, get him in front of the people that need to be at the table. So I think that's key.
Well, Courtney, talk about the importance of him and Orion and getting in front of those right people. What are some of the things he could be thinking about or you could be thinking about to make sure to make the right inroads to have those conversations?
yeah, well, I was just thinking, Trey's one of those people who's going to have an interesting opportunity to have conversations on the back of this awful pandemic, right? Because of that, almost all of us are familiar with the idea of getting a vaccine through a delivery platform like they're creating. So I think it's a really interesting opportunity to kind of seize the relevance of that conversation to talk to as many people as he can.
Well, and maintaining relevance, right? Chris, kind of following up on that, to what kind of questions would you ask from an investment profile? Because with the sales cycles that this will take, what would you insist on for maintaining relevance in a competitive market?
Yeah, this is definitely an industry where people develop expertise and specialization around investing in this space. And so connecting with those people. But I'll tell you, the fact that he was able to say that he has a potential partnership going with Moderna, that has to be huge for that company, I would think.
That's awesome. Judges, thank you very much. All right, let's give another hand for Dr. Trey Fisher and Orion Therapeutics. Up next, we've got Wade Austin and Farm Grub. Wade, come on up.
Thanks, Chris. Hello, testing. Hi, howdy. My name is Wade Austin, and I'm super excited to share with you our company, Farm Grub. If you scan the QR code, hint, you will see that on the surface we are an online farmers market where we've gathered local food from local farms and local food artisans that you can order and have delivered to your home within 2 hours, 7 days a week. But I want to talk to you about how Farm Grub is much more than that. Or maybe not. Okay. So a few years ago, we all saw some scary things, right? During the pandemic, one of the scariest things we saw is how reliant we are on the national food chain. Turns out if a big company like Tyson or US Food, great companies, have a breakdown far away from us, here locally we see empty shelves. And there's hardly anything we can do about it. But food security is only one of the challenges that we're facing. I'm sure we're all aware that food is rising, right? It's skyrocketing. Last year, it rose almost 11% in 1 year, and this year it continues to skyrocket. So it stands to reason that 1 in 3 families struggle for basic dietary needs. And this trend is moving in the wrong direction. It'll be 1 in 2 before we know it. But we wouldn't see skyrocketing prices, and we wouldn't see so many families struggling if it wasn't for this next number, 40%. 40% of all food produced in the U.S. is wasted. And the resources that go into that, 8 million acres of farmland, 15% of our fresh water supply, 25% of the carbon monoxide that goes into our atmosphere, wasted on 40%. This is the problem that we're focused on. This is the problem that we're fixing. But to fix this problem, we must first understand how we waste so much food. In our national food chain, food travels on average 1,300 miles and goes through no less than 6 stops along the way. So it's easy to see how we waste so much food, right? We waste every step along the way a little bit, and it all adds up. And it's also easy to imagine what the solution is. Shorten the distance that food travels and take out unnecessary steps between the farm and the families. But how can local food compete with the national food chain? That's where Farm Grub comes in. We want to provide the same service, the same availability of products as the national food chain. We want to make it so that it's just as easy to order food from your farm down the street as it is to order food from California or Mexico. At our heart, Farm Grub is a logistics company. We leverage technology and streamline business practices so that we can provide a local food chain between the farm and the family. We've launched a prototype here in Knoxville. Some of you may have seen us and some of you may have ordered. Thank you. And for the last couple of years, we've tested the 5 counties surrounding Knox County, including Knox County, where individuals can order food from the local foods, and we'll deliver it to your home within 2 hours. And we've seen some really good traction. We're encouraged that we have over 700 active customers that shop with us every week, week in and week out. We have a 65% return rate. Over half of the people that try us out keep coming back, which is amazing. We've got over 70 plus farms and brands that represents over 500 products, all made within our region. Our business metrics blowing us away. We've seen we're at an $85 average order value, and that continues to climb as we add more and more products. And we see a 32% average margin. Turns out, shorten the distance, take out the extra steps, and we've got plenty of money to pay the farmers and the food artisans what they need to grow. And we can provide consumers with a product that's affordable, and we still have room in the middle to have a viable, aggressive company that sees 32% margins. I keep pointing in the wrong direction. So that our local market is huge, right? So just within the 5 counties that we deliver to, we see almost a $3 billion grocery industry. Over the next 5 years, we look to expand to the surrounding metropolitan areas surrounding Knoxville within a 4-hour radius, with Nashville, Charlotte, and Atlanta, and all that great agriculture land between, and upwards of a $50 billion grocery industry. Our projections are positive. Within the next 5 years, if we stay on course, we should be in Knoxville, Chattanooga, Nashville, Asheville, Charlotte, and Atlanta, and be looking at a $50 million revenue. But first, we're raising $600,000 to reach profitability and $1.5 million here within our region. We've got the business model, we've got the local farms, we have the KPIs. All we're lacking is a few investment firms that believe in us, and you, the consumer. Please consider checking us out. Please consider trying us out. And if you like what we're doing, please help spread the word and tell friends and families about us. This is one of my partners, Hank, and he's talking to one of our farmers, Kyle. And I'm sure they're talking about how we're going to save the world. And the way we're going to save the world is with simple, fresh, local food. Thank you.
Thank you. So it looked like you had 700 plus customers now, but are anticipating some exponential growth quickly.
That's right.
So I'm curious, as you think about growing that fast, how do you make sure that you have consistent supply, and how do you make sure that you're consistent on the quality?
Yeah, that's a great question. So to reach our goal, we actually only have to 3x our customer base. We also have to increase our repeat rate, and we have to increase our AOV. And while we're doing that, we have exponential growth as we onboard new farms. We have a just-in-time inventory strategy at our warehouse that allows us to do quality control and have the food just when we need it. So.
Has it been harder to onboard farmers or end user customers?
I would say end user customers. Yeah, I think they're not sure what we are just yet, but when they try us, they keep coming back. But that first initial engagement is probably the biggest challenge.
Did you build out your own back room to facilitate the logistics behind the order and the delivery process?
Yes. Yep.
And so what is involved in scaling the company?
So right now we have a warehouse capacity to reach close to the goal that we're at. I think the next thing that we're going to need is more storage space, and we're going to have to continue to onboard more and more farms, because more and more food artisans, because the more food that we have, the larger the larger percentage of the average family's grocery list we can cover. So that will help continue to grow. So. The delivery mechanism is based on based on the gig economy. So we actually have a scalable process already in place that will allow us to grow. Onboarding is one challenge that we feel confident about. And then as we build our inventory, it's just a matter of warehouse space.
So are you using like a Uber Eats type for delivery?
Our drivers are 1099, yeah. But the difference is, as opposed to an Uber Eats, which takes an order and straight to the consumer, or an Instacart that says, go to the grocery store, do all the shopping, you take it to. Our drivers pick up 5 orders or 10 orders at a time, and they're in sequential order of where they can drop it off, so it's efficient. So they can see upwards of $100,000 a year in tips, and we can deliver more and more food.
And your system is optimizing that delivery process for them.
That's right. Yep.
Great job.
Hey, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Wade Austin and Farm Grub. The word of the day, hyperlocal. So what do you see as one of the biggest opportunities here when you are going up against an Amazon or a Walmart that also promises that same delivery time frame, right? Courtney, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, I heard him say that too, that his biggest challenge was going to be marketing to the end user. So when I think about a company like that, I think there's probably no better place for him to start his business than in the volunteer state, and particularly here in Knoxville, because
Go Vols!
Go Vols! Because I do think we have a very active community that's looking for opportunities to support businesses like this, and so some real grassroots marketing efforts will probably go a long ways to helping him build that end user base quickly.
Chris, what do you see as, I guess, a next step from an investor profile? Looking at that, what are some of the questions you would love for him to have answers for?
I thought he did a great job actually answering my questions. I'm pretty impressed with this software backroom that he's built to facilitate this whole thing. I'd probably want to look under the hood at that a little bit. And as an investor, I'd probably want to go out and meet with some of the farmers and interview some of these end users. I'm fairly fascinated with this whole idea of what he's doing, and I think if he can differentiate himself where he's providing a better quality of product and a better quality of service at a almost equal price point to what Amazon and others are doing, then this could have some traction to it.
Well, and Nadeem, again, back to your background as a community builder, what can it mean to provide a value that stays within the community rather than a value where, the equity goes away?
Well, what's interesting, I'm going to say something just a little bit different, but in the restaurant business, we're always looking for quality local offerings. The problem is consistency. And so if he can find a way, the more culinary experiences we get, the higher quality that can come from local, doesn't always mean it does. How can he provide the B2B opportunities for those, chef-driven restaurants? I would be interested in hearing kind of an opportunity there.
Awesome. All right, thank you, judges, yet again. And thank you. Thank you to everyone. And up is our final presenter today, Anka Tamafti with Holocene.
Thank you. What a generous and patient audience. I'm here to talk to you about the Holocene, not the company yet, but the geologic epoch we're in. So what you'll see here is concentrations of carbon dioxide over the last 12,000 years. Pretty stable, right? Well, this stability in carbon dioxide has led to a stable climate, which has allowed mankind to settle, develop civilizations, and prosper. But what you might have read in the news is that we actually live in the Anthropocene, so this is the man-made era, and it's been good to us. So with the discovery of fossil fuels, as well as industrialization in general, that's led to economic prosperity and economic development for all of us. However, as we all know, this has led to a lot of CO2 in the atmosphere, and concentrations have not just increased, but they have doubled, and that's only been in the last couple of decades. So we've broken the Holocene scales. We've essentially gone way and above with CO2 concentration, and we know that this is going to put prosperity at risk. And I think you all might have experienced this personally or read in the news. Temperatures are increasing, summers are getting hotter and hotter, and this is not good for any of us. And what we're trying to do here is essentially solve this problem. It's one of the world's greatest problems. Governments, institutions all over the world are trying to solve it. We have essentially two things we can do. The first is reduce CO2 emissions as much as we can, and we're doing that. The other part, though, is for the emissions that we cannot remove, that we cannot reduce, we have to remove, right? Legacy emissions and hard to decarbonize industries are still there, and we still need them. This is where we come at play. Holocene does carbon removal, and this is a net new industry that you might not have yet heard of. However, according to the US Department of Energy, we have to remove 7 billion tons of carbon dioxide by 2050. In terms of volume, weight, and also financially, this is essentially on par with the oil and gas industry and the waste management industry. And we only have 40 years to do it, so we have to be relatively fast. This is where we come in. So we are developing machines that remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, just air, outside air. We use chemistry to do this, and we have a loading and unloading system. So we get the CO2 into our chemicals, we concentrate it, and then once we take it out, we can put it underground for good, or we can put it in materials, so chemicals and others, plastics, etc. You might think, well, this is a big problem. It requires chemical engineering, chemistry. Who are these people? Why do they want to do this? Do they have the expertise? And I would say we're not only well-credentialed, but we actually have experience in exactly what it takes. So we've built hardware companies before, we've worked in climate industry before, and most importantly, we are one of the few people that have actually built direct air capture plants before in Switzerland, including the world's first direct air capture plant. What you don't see here is our team. So we're 1 year old. Since we moved to Knoxville, we hired 7 of the best scientists and engineers from all over the US. We brought them here to Knoxville, and also a couple of international folks like me. Well, why are people moving to Knoxville to do this with us? It might seem like a crazy idea. Well, we've discovered a really interesting white space, so unique technology space. We have a chemistry that we are licensing from Oak Ridge National Lab, and we are essentially doing a low temperature and liquid system. Why these two features matter. So low temperature means low energy costs when we do our process, and liquid means continuity. So this allows us to run our system 24/7. This allows for cost efficiency and better than our competitors. Well, who's buying what we're selling, and what are we selling? We are selling carbon removal services, and actually the entire world is buying carbon removal. You'll see here that all the big companies you've ever heard of and many more, it turns out 80% of the world's GDP is actually covered or committed to net zero carbon, And you'll see, okay, somewhere for 2040, 2050, but it's actually happening today. All you have to do is Google carbon removal purchases and see Microsoft, airlines, reinsurers are buying carbon dioxide removal today. Already $2.5 billion have been spent on this, and the market is estimated to be $1 trillion. And again, on par with oil and gas, so it has to be that big. Well, this is also, that big market, the 1 trillion, is not only far away for us, it's actually very, very real. Just this week, we've announced our first sales of carbon dioxide removal services from our pilot. We sold $500,000 worth of carbon dioxide removal to Stripe, Shopify, and Frontier. We were selected from many, many other suppliers of carbon dioxide removal, and we are very lucky to be funded by the world's top energy and climate development agencies. Breakthrough Energy, so Bill Gates, Breakthrough Energy, Elon Musk X Prize, as well as the US Department of Energy, a grant that we're starting very, very soon. And I think I'm out of time, but I can't leave the stage without saying, well, we moved to Knoxville, and I have to give a shout out to Knoxville. We moved from Silicon Valley to work with Oak Ridge National Lab, Innovation Crossroads, Spark, and TVA. And I see a lot of familiar faces here in the room, supporters. Thank you very much for your support, and thank you for the questions that I'll be getting soon.
So you have kind of double revenue generation, right? By selling the equipment and then selling the byproduct, right?
Yeah, so I would say for the first couple of years, for the first decade of our existence, we're going to be technology providers. We're going to build machines and sell machines. Once we reach scale of 1 million ton of carbon dioxide per year, we think at some point we're going to turn more to a licensing model, so more like the way the renewable energy industry works, where we have technology, we have know-how, but then other project developers are taking that know-how and they're developing projects all over the US and the world.
Welcome to Knoxville. We're happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I'm familiar with some of these net zero commitments that companies are making. And so there are a lot of people who are pitching solutions to get them to these net zero carbon emissions. Can you tell me a little bit about how yours compares to what everybody else is doing in terms of cost and scalability?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I would say we need all solutions. So there are competitors, but all is needed. Again, 7 billion tons of CO2 to remove a year. It's immense. The way I see the spectrum of kind of competitors and suppliers for carbon dioxide removal, we have nature-based solutions, so closer to trees, soil management, land management. And then we have the other end of the spectrum, which is us, engineered solutions. We are more expensive than planting trees, as you could imagine. However, we are more dense. So per footprint, per resources, per space, we can remove much more CO2. So when you look at the amount of CO2 that has to be removed, we have to go to those dense solutions, and this is where we are. We think in terms of price, everyone's aiming for $100 per ton of CO2. The US government recently put a tax credit for $180 per ton of CO2, so I think we'll be in that ballpark to have a sustainable model, and this is what we're aiming for.
Okay, talk me through, so you say that you're working with Frontier and Shopify. What exactly are you doing for them?
Yeah, so what they have done is essentially bought a future vintage of our carbon removal services. This means they're paying us now to remove carbon dioxide removal that they think they've emitted as companies, and we have a couple of years, so until 2026, to deliver on those commitments. Essentially what they're doing is pre-funding our pilot that will deliver those carbon dioxide removal. And again, very similar to renewable space, you often have pre-purchase agreements, so you sell electricity to even get the solar plants or the wind plants to get built up. It's exactly the same for us.
And so in 2026, you'll actually put a piece of equipment there, and it will begin to remove the CO2. Is there a byproduct from that?
So I'd say there's not a byproduct per se, but we will be using some energy, low-grade heat, so 100 degrees boiling water temperature, and we do have chemicals that we are using to do in the process. However, that's cyclical, so we're using the same materials over and over. Of course, we'll have a footprint because we're a project, but we don't anticipate any byproducts. And the chemicals, I should say, that we're working with are non-toxic and non-hazardous, so we don't expect to have a negative impact on the environment.
All right. Thank you very much,
Thank
Anka.
You so much.
Thank you.
And Holocene.
Thank you.
All right. Solving the world's biggest problems right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Chris, I mean, I love it. You always cut to the chase, you know. So what's the opportunity here? Again, from an investor, what are you looking at both in the short term as well as the long term? You're looking at some of those companies that had net zero by 2050, right? So what's your first thoughts here?
Yeah, I'd have to get a lot smarter about this space and this technology. But I do know this, you know, if you go back in time to the 1970s, there were a series of companies that came into existence because they were trying to remove pollutants from industrial stacks, and people thought they were crazy, right? Nobody's going to pay you to do that. Well, now that's a regular part of that business, right? Where does this industry end up? I don't know. My crystal ball doesn't work any better than your crystal ball does. But it is encouraging to know that, first of all, Knoxville can attract talent from Silicon Valley to move here. So kudos to those of you that are running the programs that help make that happen. And secondly, that we have smart people like that trying to figure out how to solve this problem.
And Nadeem, what do the power of, as someone who has brought people together to do things, what do the power of those partnerships mean for potential growth here?
Well, I think it'll help her cut through the noise. Hopefully, because there's a lot of competitors. You know, every company, every community, every municipality is trying to get net zero. And so how can they cut through the noise? And hopefully the partnership, you know, having ORNL, TVA, UT Research, that will help kind of cut through the noise just by virtue of being involved with those institutions.
All right. And Courtney, we'll end with you. Sort of your thoughts about cutting through that noise and continuing to keep that saw going after, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 and on down the line.
Yeah, well, that's true for all 6 of the companies that we've seen this afternoon, right? How do you keep that going? How do you maintain that momentum? How do you continue to build? How do you continue to make those kind of connections? And I agree with what Chris said. It's so exciting to see people doing that here in this room full of people to support them.
All right, well, thank you very much. I would love to hear a hand for our 6 companies. Yet again, we've got Knoxville, Vitraform 3D, B-Roll Bank, Orion Therapeutics, Farm Grub, and Holocene. I don't know about y'all, but this makes the Maker City look pretty bright. Thanks again to our judges, Courtney, Chris, and Nadeem. Y'all have a tough job ahead of you. Let's head this way while you make your decision. Courtney?
Yes, Chris.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm pretty excited.
It's exciting stuff.
Much like Courtney said, it's pretty cool to see talent, engagement, and intention in our area coming together to do such amazing things.
It's incredible. Not unexpected.
Not unexpected
Not
at all.
unexpected at all. All right, now as our judges deliberate, we are going to find out which entrepreneur the Innov865 Alliance selected for the 2023 Traction Award presented by CGI. So to announce our winner, I'd like to introduce you all to Matt Kittrell and Lori Ortega with CGI. Come on out.
This is an incredible day. We are here to celebrate the official grand opening of CGI's Knoxville Onshore Delivery Center. How about a round of applause for that?
Here in front of me, this is a new, unique way for kids to learn STEM through sports.
CGI brings amazing jobs, and it's going to help our city continue to thrive in the future.
3, 2, 1. Okay, you saw her? Is she in here?
Well, thanks, everyone. It is an absolute pleasure to be here at Innov865 Week's Startup Day, where we celebrate the spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship that drives our community forward. At CGI, we are deeply committed to fostering innovation and supporting the growth of local startups. Today, we have the distinct honor of presenting the Traction Award, a recognition that highlights a previous Startup Day pitcher who has made the most traction in their industry and community. This year's Traction Award recipient has not only secured an impressive $16 million in non-dilutive funding, but they've also forged remarkable partnerships with high-level organizations across the nation.
But what's even more remarkable is the way this company continues to put Knoxville on the map with its novel decarbonization techniques and unprecedented accomplishments. Through the company's success, the team has attracted top-tier talent and brought national recognition to Knoxville as a hub of innovation and creativity. This team is not just growing their own business, but is actively contributing to the growth of our entrepreneurial ecosystem, inspiring others to follow in their footsteps. So without further ado, please join me as we shift our focus to the big screen and unveil your 2023 Traction Award winner, Anna Douglas of Sky Nanotechnologies.
I think entrepreneurship in a vacuum seems like a great concept, right? You get to start something by yourself. You get to choose the landscape of how you operate. You get to chart your own path, and there's something really inspiring about that concept. But the reality is it's really hard. You know, a lot of startups fail within the first year, even more fail within the first 5 years. We've made it past that 5-year mark. And the best way I can say of how we keep going is just as a team.
I wish more people knew about the company in general because I feel like the mission is pretty fantastic. Sky Nano is turning carbon dioxide, which is a greenhouse gas, into carbon nanomaterials. And so it's great to be able to make an environmental impact while continuing to break through hard tech.
There's a lot of technologies when it comes to carbon management, and the bottom line is we need them all. And we think Sky Nano has a really great near-term solution for a profitable carbon management technology that doesn't require incentives to make the economics work. Sky Nano is really a Tennessee homegrown company. The technology was really founded at Vanderbilt in Nashville. We moved to Knoxville for the Innovation Crossroads program at Oak Ridge National Lab. We were really incubated and accelerated at the University of Tennessee's Spark Center, and now we're really putting down roots in Knoxville and trying to grow the company here.
We have scaled our process from hundreds of milligrams per hour in early 2021. We're now about to build our 3rd generation reactor. It will be a 200 gram per hour reactor. So several hundred times the capacity in just 2.5 years.
When I pitched at Startup Day 2017, it was sort of Sky Nano's debut to Knoxville. I thought that was an amazing experience to get to meet more stakeholders in the community. I think Knoxville just does a really incredible job at coming together and really rallying behind those of us who are trying to do these big, hard things. I think Knoxville's the best place in the country to grow a hard tech company. We've had some really good luck over the last couple of years, and we've raised a total of over $16 million in non-dilutive funding today.
It was a great honor for Sky Nano to win this Traction Award, and I think it's a real credit to the team dynamic that we've established here.
I think there's a lot of magic that just can't really be quantified when a team gels and is really truly more valuable than the sum of its parts. Is just such a proud feeling as a leader to see how well a team can work together.
All right, congratulations to Anna Douglas, Sky Nanotechnologies. Why don't you guys pose for a photo? Another round of applause. Congratulations, Anna, and thank you again to CGI for presenting this year's Traction Award. All right, Chris.
Hey, Courtney. Congratulations, Anna Douglas. What an amazing entrepreneur, what an amazing technology, and someone who is also intent on helping develop our region as a leader in technology.
100%. And you know what?
Yeah.
I hear our judges are still deliberating.
They are still deliberating, so I've got a chance to talk to some nice folks. Oh, and if you haven't yet, remember to cast your vote to give that audience prize, the QR code right there on your program. Or on your table tent to give our friends $3,000. Thank you much to Boston Government Services. So I am going to invite a few entrepreneurs up to hang out with me for a few minutes. I'd like to hang out with Bailey Foster from Real Good Kitchen. Hey, Bailey.
We'll get more photos.
How you doing?
Yeah, we got the.
I'd like to hang out with Mac Bartine from Smart RIA. Where's he at? And Damon Rawls from Innovation Digital Agency. So these are examples of entrepreneurs from different stages in their companies, different stages in their communities, and different focus areas. So we're going to spend a few minutes talking about their experiences both as entrepreneurs, as business builders, and as community leaders. So, Bailey, I'll start with you. Hey, that's you. Yeah, you guys just kind of pop around there. So, as someone, if folks are not familiar, Bailey, to give a very quick overview of what you have done with Real Good Kitchen.
Well, thanks, Chris. It's great to be here. I am here as the hyper-local contingent. These are my people. So Real Good Kitchen is a shared commercial kitchen and food business incubator. We help food businesses start and grow. We're located in East Knoxville on Magnolia Avenue, and we opened our doors in January of 2021.
All right. And you have had, and I want y'all to go ahead and clap for this, you've had over 90 entrepreneurs come through your accelerator. Give that up. You've seen a lot of different kind of folks come through, different stages of readiness, right? What are some of the things that you've learned as you've helped entrepreneurs grow, but while at the same time developing Real Good Kitchen into a brand and a really awesome property?
Well, I mean, I think we set a pretty good challenge for ourselves. We started out not only as a brand new concept for Knoxville, but also trying to do that, introduce this new concept as a for-profit benefit company. So we were going to try to be profitable and impactful. I think on both measures, it's been a pretty amazing journey. Of course, my favorite part of the process is getting to work with entrepreneurs every day. And being one myself and a relatively new one, that just brings me so much joy in seeing folks at different stages, in seeing their success, and also failures. I think one of the things that we can offer is an opportunity for folks to try things and fail without losing everything, or at least fail and go on to something else. So that's really what we're doing. It's been an incredible ride, and we've got lots of cool plans for the future too.
We all stay tuned and always, and I would encourage everyone to follow Real Good Kitchen. I want to follow up on that entrepreneurial experience. I'm going to go with Mac. So Mac, you have, you've had a few different businesses coming up. So if you'll give just a quick little everybody about Smart RIA, and also if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
You're pronouncing it correctly. So Smart RIA is a software platform that manages compliance for financial advisors. So we're super niche, but these are people who are independent business owners. They are managing money for people just like everybody in this room. And they need to be doing that ethically. Our software helps them to do that ethically and to prove that they did that ethically, which is really important to them when they get audited, which all of them do.
Well, how have you managed to, like Bailey's talking, and Damon, you've experienced this as well. You have success, you have failure, you have growing pains. How do you manage the growth of a software company for both yourself and your team, and as you continue to grow, your investors? Growth and expectations.
So you have some decisions to make as a software company. How do you want to interact with your customers? What do you want their experience to be? And once you commit to that, then you start having to think about, okay, if I've committed to something big, how are we going to do that? And we're up to about 2,700 companies that use our platform, and several thousand more people total in the software. That's a lot of companies to manage with a team of 22 people, only about a third of which are focused on customer interaction. So really the answer is you've got to provide information to help those companies to be able to succeed. You've got to automate on the back end to make it possible for them to have a great experience without having to constantly talk to your team. And customer experience has been incredibly important to us. It is a decision that we made and really leaned into. So.
Well, kind of following up on customer experience, Damon, as the founder of Innovation Digital Agency, as well as the Black Business Directory here in Knoxville and in Montgomery, what are we taking for granted? Typically, for one, tell us a little bit about what you are doing, but then I want you to talk about the things that as companies and as founders and as leaders, what are we not thinking about that we should be to connect with those audiences?
Okay, so Innovation Digital, we're just like what we sound, we're a digital marketing firm. We do all the things online, so the websites and social media campaigns, all that stuff. The Black Business Directories. So if you haven't noticed, I'm Black and I'm a business owner. So I love Black-owned businesses. Stop laughing. And one of the things that I just really wanted to give back during COVID, and so we created a Black Business Directory that now sees locally in Knoxville and then one in Alabama. But in Knoxville, we have over 1,700 unique visitors that come to the website monthly looking to do business with Black-owned businesses, from dog groomers to accountants. So, but what I do notice from a business perspective, and one of the things that we do wrong, I think, is that as we design what we do when we're really enamored by what we've created, we're really not thinking about the consumer. We're always thinking about it from our perspective, what we've done, what this awesome app is and what it does. But there's somebody who's going to purchase that thing, right? There's somebody writing a check for that thing. What do they think about it? What would they think about it? And how do you communicate with those people from an online perspective in a way that would want them to come into your world, spend money with you, and continue to spend money with you, right? And so that's what I see that most people not get it wrong, but don't think that piece through. So.
Gotcha. Well, and is there, I'll give one final parting word here to Bailey. Like I said, it was a short conversation. Courtney, do we have our decision yet? We do?
Yeah.
Okay, well, are we ready?
We can be.
Well, we can't. Well, I want to ask one more question, though.
Go for it.
Bailey,
Chris.
one parting piece of advice for all of our entrepreneurs and entrepreneur supporters out there.
Oh my gosh. Knoxville is a great place to start a business. Find all the support you can, find all the smart people you can, ask questions, learn everything, and do it.
All right. Oh, wait, Mac, you answer too.
Also, it's really hard to get money as a startup, but
Yes.
we actually live in a city where money is available. Three Roots Capital, Tennessee, and others are helping firms like ours. We've been invested in by these companies, and it helps. So definitely look for that as well.
You want a parting shot? Parting shot to the audience.
Entrepreneurship is wonderful.
Says Damon Rawls. Thank you very much. Oh, just pop it down. Thank you, Damon, Mac, and Bailey. Thank you to everyone. Courtney, do we have our audience winner?
We do.
Ooh.
Chris, we have a crowd favorite. Before we announce,
Yes.
Before we announce who it is, I want to thank and recognize Harry Boston and Boston Government Services. The Innov865 Alliance is thrilled to partner with Boston Government Services, and Boston Government Services is proud to celebrate Innov865 Week and our regional entrepreneurial ecosystem. So, without further ado, the winner of the Crowd Favorite Award is...
B-Roll Bank! Jonathan Halley, will you join us on stage?
Come on down.
There
Here
we
he
go.
comes.
Come on up here, buddy.
Congratulations, Jonathan.
Congratulations
Here you go. There's your
to
check.
John.
Hold that in the middle, angle it down there. We'll get a picture. All right.
Nice. Congratulations to John and B-Roll Bank.
Go this way and stay behind stage. Okay.
You can take that to any bank, they'll cash it.
They will. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Is it time?
It's time.
All right, let's find out who our judges have picked as this year's Startup Day 2023 winner. Members of the Innov865 Alliance, we'd like
Come
to
on
invite
out.
you on up to the stage, please. That's you guys.
Bring the check. All right. Yep, stay right there. Okay, yep, we'll do judges in the center. Okay, we've got some folks coming up here. All right, the suspense is killing me, Chris.
This is I know, it takes a minute, but it's worth it.
It's worth it.
Right?
It is worth it. Okay, Alliance members, judges, are you ready? The winner of Startup Day 2023 Judges' Choice Award is Vitroform 3D.
Vitroform 3D. Dr. Stiles, step on up, buddy.
All right, Alex, come on down. Let's get a picture. Okay, angle the check down a little bit. All right, give Alex another round of applause.
Everyone, congratulations to Vitroform 3D, congratulations to B-Roll Bank, and congratulations to all of our other pitchers today who have come up, put themselves in front of you. I want you to talk to them. I want you to ask them questions. I want you to learn more about the people that are doing big things in our Maker City. And we'd love for you to attend some more events this week, like Raising and Rising on Thursday and all sorts of other awesome stuff. My name is Chris McAdoo with the Knoxville Entrepreneur Center, and I am happy to say this has been the best startup day ever. Why don't you hang out with us for a little while, because the bar is open. Thanks, everyone.